Oh man, you would not believe how much this hurts.
Before the guide, I just wanted to thank everyone that stayed from Reddit and the 5 people who awarded that Reinhardt guide. Shout out goes to Nico Skill 2 who made some great constructive criticism in the post and the comments. I will also be reusing the TTS, but I'll make it slower since some of you said it was a tad bit too fast. Without further ado, here's the guide.
Briggs' primary fire, the Smaccy Boi, is a rocket flail dealing 35 damage in a 6 meter radius. It takes 0.2 seconds to cast the initial swing, with the rate of fire being 1 swing every 0.6 seconds. Regarding the tech, it is very similar to Reinhardt's rocket hammer. Firstly, you can cleave multiple enemies by turning the flail in the direction of both characters. Secondly, you can perform a double hit by allowing the very end of Briggs' first swing animation hit the target, then allowing the start of Briggs' second swing animation to hit the target. The purpose of this is to quickly finish off a fast moving target, as it will not increase your damage per second from normally swinging. In terms of usage, similar to Reinhardt, you want to be swinging in general in case you hit someone to activate Inspire, although be very wary of doing this in front of one-shot hit scan characters such as Widow. Aside from the tech listed prior and the tech that will still apply from the Reinhardt guide, Rocket Flail is the easiest way of activating Briggs' passive, Inspire. To do this, simply walk up to the opposing main tank, hit them with your Rocket Flail, then immediately bash out, as Slayer Gramps states here.
Fair enough.
So, okay, so pause right there. So what I did there is the most consistent way to proc your Inspire. I go for a smack and then I bash away because it activates my Inspire right away, and I don't put myself at risk at all. It's very common to just like, oh, it's a Reinhardt without a Zarya bubble, I'm going to bash them. But if you bash that Reinhardt, you now have no mobility, and if there's a Brigitte right behind that Reinhardt, you are dead now.
Briggs' first ability, the Yeet Whip.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now. Stop the cap.
Makes Brig throw her flail a long distance, dealing 70 damage, with a cast time of 0.2 seconds, and a maximum range of 20 meters. It also makes Brig move at half her normal speed, and has a cooldown of 4 seconds. There are 3 main uses to using Briggs' whip shot. Firstly, to activate Inspire. Due to the much longer range compared to her regular rocket flail, you can hit enemies that are much further away from you to start your Inspire. This will separate the good Briggs from the amazing Briggs, and could be the difference between you gaining rally and winning the fight. In order to do this regularly, you want to flail after the opponents use their cooldowns, which can potentially block your flail, or that can make it easier for you to hit. As a rule of thumb, flail when D.Va uses her matrix, so she will typically be in a more exposed position to absorb incoming damage. Flail when Sigma drops his shield. Flail when the opposing Reinhardt uses Fire Strike. Flail after Zarya bubbles herself. And flail as soon as the enemy Wrecking Ball reaches his apex when using his Pillar Driver. Secondly, to deal damage. This can be done when performing your combo for enemies at half health, or to finish off a low health enemy who are in an exposed position. Thirdly, to knock back enemies to keep your teammates safe. This can be for environmental kills, to peel for your backline, or to knock back the enemy ultimates such as Shatter when you think they are about to be used. A small but important tip to increase knockback is to shield bash but to then immediately whip shot, as Slayer Gramps goes to explain in this clip.
So if you bash and you whip shot them, they almost go twice the distance as if you bash, whack, whip shot them. Because by the time you whip shot them, they have control of their keyboard and they can just hold W and they won't get knocked as far.
That's actually pretty smart.
Briggs' second ability, the Attach Patch.
No. No.
Is a pack that heals an ally for 110 healing over 2 seconds, with up to 50 armor over maximum health. You have 3 charges of this ability, with a 6-second cooldown per charge. The maximum range is also 30 meters. Any added armor lasts for 5 seconds, and Repair Pack has a projectile speed of 45 meters per second, which I will mention later. Firstly, a bit of tech with Repair Pack. You can animation cancel the short recovery period after Repair Pack by immediately using Rally, which could save a teammate, and if multiple Repair Packs are used on the same target, the healing duration is increased by 2 seconds per Repair Pack, meaning that they do not stack on top of each other. With that out the way, this is by far Briggs' most complex piece of kit. Choosing to pocket either your DPS or tanks, and choosing to when to overheal your teammates or not is situational. Starting with the latter, here is a few positives about overhealing. Firstly, if you know that the teammate that has overheal is guaranteed to take damage, it can add extra survivability and could save their life. A great example would be using it on a Dimfist, who can stack his shields with the added armor to prevent him dying. Secondly, you will receive Repair Pack sooner than if you used it late. This can be useful when you are down on heals, so that you can retrieve your armor pack ASAP. However, there are quite a few downsides.
Right, so you don't get ult charge when you give people armor, and you feed the enemy team ult charge because they can damage that armor and they get ult charge from it. So you have to be really cautious about overhealing people. In that situation, though, I knew I was going to need my E like much faster because they were just being really, really aggressive. So I figured kind of screw it on the extra healing charge.
Moreover, when Goats eventually comes back in competitive open queue, Repair Pack acted as an extra life for your friendly Reinhardt. Using it preemptively will not only have the downsides listed in that clip, but might also cost the life of one of your tanks. I will mention later in the Backline synergies section of the video to who you should armor pack to and why. I'd also like to mention that the somewhat slow projectile speed of Repair Pack may cause you to simultaneously waste Repair Pack just as soon as your teammate dies. In order to mitigate this, if your teammate is about to blatantly feed into the enemy team, do not Repair Pack them, especially in the higher ranks. Brig's third ability, the Barrier N Bash.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Let me tell you.
We don't care.
Is a 200 health point barrier that decreases movement speed by 30% and regenerates at 100 shield per second after being down for 2 seconds. She also has the ability to perform a bash, dealing 5 damage and a 0.75 second stun in a 7 meter range, with a cooldown of 7 seconds. There are a few pieces of tech, which I'll go through now. Firstly, you can use the third person view to look around and scout corners when using shield. This is very useful so that you can tell your team what type of comp they are running. Hence you can either kite or rotate back to safety, or play more aggressive around corners. Secondly, you can conserve the momentum from shield bash from jumping at the very end of the animation, gaining you some extra distance, similar to Moira Fade. Thirdly, it is especially important to shield dance considering how paper thin your shield is. To do this, allow your 50 armor to be eaten through in conjunction with your Inspire. Keep in mind, armor halves the damage from Roadhog pellets, Diva cannons, Reaper and Doomfist shotguns, Wrecking Ball machine guns, practically Orisa's fusion cannons, and much more. Basically, you don't want to be hard shielding, and utilize your armor and Inspire to relieve some of the damage. Fourthly, you want to angle your shield square on against explosive projectiles.
Every time you see projectiles coming at you, you do not want to avoid them. You want them to hit you square in the shield, because her shield is not big enough to block any type of splash damage, like whatsoever. If they hit the ground anywhere around you, they will damage you.
Fifthly, do not jump against Shatter. This will expose your feet, and since Shatter has a vertical height of 2 meters, the Shatter will travel under the shield and hit your feet. For the sixth tip, you can use your bash to stun enemy ultimates such as Coalescence, or to stop cooldowns such as Roadhog's Breather. Try not to play too out of position to stun these abilities, as you may be punished for this in the higher ranks. For the seventh tip, you can counter stun Doomfist's punch or Reinhardt's pin by simply bashing into them. This is precisely why Brigitte is an amazing anti-dive character, as she puts the opposing Doomfist in a neutral stance, making him vulnerable to any damage source. For the eighth tip, you want to be minimizing your shield movement penalty against burst damage. For instance, when moving across an area covered by a Widowmaker, you can put down your shield when she is taking the extra second to charge up her next shot. For the ninth tip, you want to be aware of your damage breakpoints. For example, performing the flail, then shield bash, then flail, then whipshot combo on a full health point tracer will leave her on 5 health points. For the last tip, you can perform a shield bash jump as explained here.
Bash jumping works by having you off the ground first, then the speed from the bash will let you glide vertically off an angled object. This mechanic is both easy and hard.
Great spots for these are on Junkertown first point attack, or Route 66 second point defense. The entire point of these jumps is to gain high ground to contest DPS, or to get you out of danger. Brig's passive, Inspiration,
Fist.
is a ranged area of effect heal that deals 21.6 healing to allies for 6 seconds in a 20 meter radius. The self-heal from Inspire is also saved to yourself, dealing a shade under 11 healing per second. There is also a 1 second cooldown before it can be triggered again, and is triggered by her flail and whipshot, but not her shield bash. There are some few important pieces of info about her Inspire. Firstly, it does not heal lies behind enemy barriers, or surfaces blocking line of sight. Secondly, it applies a 1 effect only to allies, meaning that once the Inspire is applied, they will receive the healing even if they are beyond the 20 meter range. Thirdly, Inspire will not stack with itself. Instead, the duration resets. Lastly, if you activate Inspire, but a teammate is out of line of sight or out of range, and they move into range during your Inspire, they will not receive any healing. This means that if a teammate is just 1 meter away from the maximum radius of 20 meters, and they come into range just after you activate your Inspire, they will not receive any of the healing. Inspire is a key part to Brig building her rally. If you miss a whip shot, you could potentially miss out 15% of ult charge if all your teammates have taken a considerable amount of damage. Brig's ultimate, W.R.C 6. Makes Brig provide 15 armor every half second to teammates in a 8.5 meter radius and up to 100 armor on yourself and allies. You gain a 30% speed buff, with the duration of rally being 10 seconds, alongside the armor lasting 20 seconds after rally has been used. There isn't much tech other than you being able to animation cancel repair pack, and that there is a small 0.7 second recovery period at the start of rally, where Brig can only use her shield. Moving on to usage. Rally is a tempo ultimate. A tempo ultimate essentially means that you can speed up or slow down the pace of a fight, but you will most likely not switch the outcome of a team fight directly, unlike Transcendence or Sound Barrier. Great examples of tempo ultimates are Coalescence and Valkyrie. Knowing this information, you can use Rally in a 5v6 fight in order to wait for extra resources from your teammates, or to play extremely aggressive as you will not win the battle of attrition. This also means that you should not be using Rally if you are ult tracking the enemy team. For instance, if the enemy team's win condition is Grav Dragon, using Rally will not counter this win condition. However, you still may want to use Rally in order to force a plethora of ultimates from the enemy team. Then you win the next team fight due to bad ultimate economy. Rally can also be very powerful in the mid fight if you are unsure about who is going to win the team fight. You do not want to use Rally after or way before the team fight begins, as you will be losing out on approximately 7 seconds of extra armor, as you can only stack 100 armor, and that the armor may decay over time.
Now, it only takes like 3.75 seconds to give someone that 100 armor that they're going to keep forever. That's still 6 seconds of armor generation that is going completely underused if you're using it between team fights.
Knowing when to use Rally early or late is vital. In dive, you typically want to use Rally 3 seconds before the team fight to take advantage of the 100 armor, and your DPS might be out of the 8.5 meter radius for the rest of your rally duration. However, in a poke or brawl comp, you want to use Rally as late as possible in the mid fight. This is because you can heal up any poke damage they take without Rally, and your teammates will be playing very close to you, so you can utilize the full duration of Rally. Moving on to positioning. It is again very situational and depends on the map and your team comp. For instance, if your other support can sustain for themselves, and your tanks feel comfortable in the brawl, you can play a bit more aggressively. However, if your other support is prone to dive, you can hang out in the back. You can also play off angles to hunt down or deter any flankers from attacking your backline, or to potentially stun an ultimate such as Coalescence unexpectedly. The last section of this guide is Brig's backline synergy. Brig Moira. This is the best backline to go against anti-dive comps, as both Brig and Moira are self-sufficient. Because of Moira having a lack of ranged healing, but extreme amount of healing in close range, you'll be using your armor packs on DPS over tanks. Hence this requires a decent amount of awareness. There is also no defensive ultimate, so you'd ideally want to pressure the opposing Zera or Reinhardt. Brig Bap. Brig's Inspire in combination with Bap's Regenerative Burst, a Mercy Beam, is practically applied to everyone who receives both abilities. Similar with Brig Moira, you ideally want to be using your repair pack on DPS. This backline is also optimized for double shield poke comps that are vulnerable to dive, and if you are going against a Bap Zen double shield comp, you want to try and close the distance and land those whip shots. Brig Mercy. This is optimized for dive comps, as Mercy heals the DPS, whilst you heal the tanks. You also do not need to worry about peeling for your other support, although keep in mind that Brig Mercy is one of the worst backlines for brawl comps, as you have no defensive ultimate, and no speed boost to kite from danger. Brigana. This is probably the strongest duo that Brig has. You want to be using repair pack on DPS over tanks, but you may want to play more passive in case your ADA gets dove upon. You can run dive, poke, or brawl with this backline, although keep in mind you cannot kite nor have a defensive ultimate. Brig Lucio. This is optimized for brawl comps, with self-sufficient DPS, as you will be healing your tanks the majority of the time. Damage dealers such as Sombra, Mai, Reaper and Doomfist pair well, as they have some form of regaining health or escaping danger. However, do not run Brig Lucio on long-range poke maps, as neither character has a large amount of range damage. Brig Zen. This is a duo with the least amount of healing. However, it is potentially the most volatile. This backline will test your Brig awareness, positioning, and game sense, as you have to peel for your Zen, whilst not wasting your repair packs. You should be using them on your tanks, and tell your DPS to try and stay in your Inspire range or rely on health packs more often. Well, that's the guide. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, sub, and comment. If this video also helped to raise your IQ, be sure to share it with your friends to also raise theirs. Until next time.
You, big boy without big broom, big boy how I come through, big boy without brand new, cause I'm killing it.